Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com, and in this video I'm going to show you the Stamplar, updated for the Thieves Guild. New champion system, gear, spec, and everything I do to make this 27,000 DPS Parse happen. Let's talk Stamplar. Okay, so we're briefly going to touch over the skills, why I use them, and how they're used in conjunction. Buff, spam, execute. Buff, spam, execute. That's the thing you need to learn about DPS, and I'm going to show you that in the back end of this video. But first things first, biting jabs. I tried to build a bow Templar, specifically single target, and it just was not working. Jabs was outperforming anything hands down. You're talking 4,000 to 5,000 single target damage more a second. So I use dual wield. Why? You get an extra slot. It scales really nice for our specific build, and this is going to be our single target primarily, and it also gives major savagery, so the weapon critical. You'll notice Evil Hunter here is also weapon critical. I still like it on my front bar because you're going to need to cast it quite often if you're facing undead and Daedra, and always before a fight. Just depends if you're going to refresh it if there's more than 2 to 3 mobs, or if there's Daedra and undead. But always have it up going into a fight. The reason I have it there is sometimes I don't use biting jabs once every 8 seconds. Let's say I'm going to do a Steel Tornado spin to win spam, just killing mob, just cleaning up trash. Then it's nice to have it on the bar. Steel Tornado, the range is nerfed, the damage is still good, and it goes up. So it's still a really strong stamina PvE ability for us. 2 important buffs that we're going to want to run. Power of the Light. This thing now hits extremely hard. It gives us Minor Breach, which is both physical and spell resistance. You're going to be helping out your group overall no matter what. So you're going to make sure that stacks up every 6 seconds, and it goes kaboomy, doing a lot of damage. Next thing you're going to want to run is Rending Slash. That is in dual wield. It's a really powerful single target ability, and you're going to be maintaining both of those. So Power of Light, 6 seconds. This is 9, and you're going to maintain those 2 dots while spamming biting jabs. Keeping Evil Hunter up if you're facing an undead or Daedra opponent or a big, large group. So that's the easy version of this. We also have Flawless Dawnbreaker here because it gives us 8% weapon damage, and this is pretty much where all of our damage happens. And if you look at my stats here, my food ran out, so let's see what my stats are. Oops, wrong food. Oh, boo. I do use the bi-stat food, max health and stam. If you're going to PvP, you want some more recovery, the Orcidium food is very good, but for pure PvE, go with that. And then my stats buffed. I'm at 3,800 weapon damage, which is a extremely large amount, but I do like it. I'm stacking the warrior with divine traits. No more thief, no more shadow, and I'm really enjoying the benefit from warrior. Now when I'm fully buffed, you're looking at 4,400 or 4,600, I forget what it is, and 1,000 stam recovery. That's not very much, but this is PvE, and I am a stam Templar. There's going to be bodies that I can repent. I can get spears from other Templars, and so sustain isn't that much of an issue. And long single fight durations, it can be an issue. I'm going to show you what you can do with your gear to benefit you there. So that's basically the damage part of this. Now, it gets a little more complex in the back bar. You don't always have to run it like this, but if you want a lot more damage, you can. Let's first start with the ultimate. I just got this guy max level. I deleted Steve Jabs and made this guy just because I hated his hair. And I got Meteor. Meteor is what you want to use, and you're going to want to use Shooting Star Flame Damage. I'm going to show you how you can use a Dragon Knight skill if you're playing with one to benefit you and to increase more damage. That's going to be low cost. It's way low cost in Ultimate. You can get it back all the time, especially using Dawn's Wrath all the time. You're going to have meteors coming up the wazoo. And it outperforms Nova most of the time. Nova is very, very good because of the damage reduction and the AoE synergy, but the thing that Empower gives you is a nice Empower, I should say. The thing that Meteor gives you is Empower, so making your next attack hit that much harder. So it's another benefit to use Shooting Star over this. And so this is kind of our buff ultimate bar. So if you don't know, you need 1 Aegir Spear ability on each of your bars for increased critical strike damage. So the way I have that there is Biting Javelin. It's 28 meters. It's a knockback, and it does a decent amount of damage, though it is a stamina hog. So I typically don't spam this, but I use it to stun a mob, or if a boss, there's just so much red stuff around the boss, I just have to keep on DPSing. I will use this light attack weaving and with the bow. So it's my one Adric Spear ability that I need back here. If you want more protection, go with Radiant Ward or something like that. If you have another Stamplar in your group that needs stamina, throw him a Spear Shard. Either way, can't go wrong. You need one. Now, the best dot in the game, in my opinion, for stam builds is Scorched Earth. It's the bow ability. It's 8 meters, 5 radius. So it's not that big of a circle, this morph. But you want to wait till you get the boss positioned and put this thing down. And usually I do Evil Hunter, swap to my back bar, and apply both of these dots. So typically I wait for the tank to get in position, doing my first couple rotations, and then apply Scorched Earth. The thing about this is the duration is 8 seconds, but it still does fire damage over 6 seconds, basically giving it a 14-second duration. So it's kind of a longer buff. So you're going to have to bar swap if you want optimum damage. Though you don't have to, but you've got to start off with this. And it's great AoE too. So using that in combination with Steel Tornado, you'll just mow things down. The other dot we're going to want to maintain is Poison Injection. We don't have a class-specific or a weapon-specific execute, but Poison Injection does the job. And in fact, it does it so well that near the end of the boss fight, this thing can tick for 10,000 damage a second. So maintain this dot. It's 10-second buff, excuse me. So you have a lot going on here. But if you just comes down to it, maintain your front dots and Poison Injection when the boss gets low. You'll do a tremendous amount of damage. Now, the other two things we have are just optional depending on what you want. I don't know if people know this, but Caltrops doesn't stack like it used to. So if you have another stam build using Caltrops, you're going to be fighting for who gets this off first and that sort of thing. So you're going to want to use Caltrops if you're the only stam build using it. And I would put it in position of Restoring Focus. Restoring Focus got a massive buff, and it is so freakishly powerful. It gives you, so basically you put this rune down and you stand in it. But if you leave the rune, you still get the benefit 8 seconds after. It gives you major spell physical resistance. It gives you minor damage, 8% damage reduction, 8% healing received, and oh yes, it gives you, where is it? Mending, which is good, but it also gives you major mending. So you're still going to get major mending after leaving the sucker using this. So it gives you massive boost to self-heal protection. The combination you want to use with this is Restoring Focus and Vigor. Vigor is a nice heal that doesn't require you to use a two-hander. And we're not using a two-hander because we don't need a major brutality, since we're going to be showing you how to get that with the group later on. So it's a good heal. You can separate this out for Trap Beast if you wanted to go pure damage, and then you could have Razor Caltrops here. But in my groups, I highly recommend almost every player to have some type of self-heal. To be completely reliant on your healer, it just makes it burdensome on them. Plus, this is AoE, and you can heal someone else in a pinch, preventing a lot of wipes. So right here, you could have Trap Beast, or you could have Razor Caltrops, or both, if you wanted to play ultra aggressive. Either way. And that's the skills. The gear that I use is a little different. You have a couple options. So option one is Hunding's Rage. Hunding's Rage, you know it, you love it. I go all divines, all stamina. I put all my attributes into stamina, keep it simple. And the benefit of Hunding's Rage is the increased weapon damage that we receive for the 5-piece applies to our Burning Light passive. So that's what makes Jab so strong, even for a stamina build, is that we go in here Burning Light. You get a 25% chance to proc a bunch of magic damage. So that Hunding's Rage helps this specific ability out. Another really good set, Night Mother's Gaze, which strips armor, is also a really powerful 5-piece. The problem running it, though, is you might run someone else that has it, or you might not be getting the big benefit from Burning Light with it. So your choice. I like Hunding's. It works in almost every situation. Now, the rest of the gear is kind of weird. This works for me. I don't know why, but Night Silence. It gives me max stamina and stamina recovery. I run a 3-piece of this. Just having a little splash of stamina recovery really, really helps out. So I do the increased weapon damage enchant, and I'm going to be weaving in attacks. So that right there is almost or the same as the Maelstrom enchants. And then you're going to want to enchant the other one with the armor penetration one. And so this, for this specific build, is actually better than Maelstrom. So I do the shoulder here with Night Silence, and then I do a Molag Kina 1-piece here. Now, if you're lacking in the stamina recovery department and you're struggling, you can always go with the Blood Spawn. And that's going to take you up to 1200. You're going to lose some weapon damage, but you just need to play around with it because I do have the champion point cap max. So those are my filthy freaky max stats, and that's the gear I use. I also use agilities, all robust, all weapon damage. But that does not leave a whole lot of room for sustained. So it just depends on the context. If you are having trouble with sustained and you're looking to do more damage over time, go with the endurance 3-piece. So let me put this on. So the endurance 3-piece gives you more health and a lot of stamina recovery. And I still enchant them with all weapon damage. 1 stamina recovery, excuse me. And that puts me at 1500 unbuffed. So remember that if you use a potion and if you have repentance on your bar, you get a lot more recovery. So let me show you how this works if you're looking to get more recovery out of this build or any stamina build for that instance. Remember that potions give that stamina regeneration 20% for 28 seconds. And then just having repentance on your bar gives you 10%. So I'm at 1500 by default, or 1684 now with repentance. I drink a potion. I'm at almost 2k. And I still have a lot of weapon damage. So 3400 unbuffed. So doing those two things, and even using a potion before the fight starts, just to get the regeneration going, while you're on repentance bar, is beneficial. So that's how you can optimize the build if you're struggling with stamina. Especially if you don't have someone to do repentance, you really need this on your bar. It heals, gives everyone else stuff. It's like, it's your fuel, man. It's your fuel, man. You gotta have it. Remember that if you do have Restoring Focus, to drop that down first, because it will increase the amount of healing you get from these corpses. So that's it for gear and or skills. Let me show you how to use it and talk you through specifically what people in your group can do to optimize your DPS. Here we are in the good old non-vet Wayrest doing some DPS testing, showing the rotation off here, and explaining a couple things that will help you and your group mates understand how you can optimize stamina DPS. So a couple things first. There's 2 taunts in the game, and people need to understand the difference between these two. One is puncture. Now this gives you physical resistance, and most people take pierced armor, so it's physical and spell damage. That's very, very useful for us, because that, believe it or not, adds up to a lot of damage. A lot of damage. And the reason why is we're using our major fractal, and we're also using our minor. So basically, stripping them of armor significantly. So you're going to want your Dragonite tank or whoever's tanking for you to run that. So I wanted to show you the difference between that and Inner Light or Inner Fire. Inner Fire is the range shot magic, has this energy, but it doesn't have that really important debuff associated with it. So there's a couple things that your tanks can do to help you, and this is one. So let's show you the difference here. All right, so I'm going to grab this dog. You can range taunt him. Now, I'm not running any buffs, but just so you get an idea, just a base jabs. 4.9 crits. Okay, go ahead and taunt him with a debuff. That jumps up to 5.3. So that is a lot more. Now if we put Prayer for Light, taunt him again. We get the minor fractal and the major. Boom. It's getting really, really hot in here. So that's what a tank can do. One way, taunting will help your DPS. Another way the tank can help your DPS is by using Scorched Earth. Using Engulfing Flames. It's a Dragonite skill that increases fire damage. Well, I'm not a Dragonite. I don't use fire damage. Well, actually, yeah, you do. Most builds run 2 skills, regardless if they're magic or stamina, and that is Shooting Star. Shooting Star in the Mage Guild is, on most classes, the best damage possible, and so Meteor, Shooting Star is the other more than its flame damage. Engulfing Flame makes us hit 7% harder. And it makes our bow Scorched Earth hit a lot harder too. So let's illustrate the point I'm trying to make with Scorched Earth. Okay, so we're going to grab this croc. And I want you to use the Pierce taunt and then also engulfing if you could. So don't engulf yet. So here's just a normal Scorched Earth. So upwards 2.5 is scaling higher and higher, 2.6, 2.9. Okay, now go ahead and engulfing. Looks like 2.9 was the highest. Now we got that engulfing debuff on him. 7%, you see it's starting to go off a little earlier, 2.9 right there, 2.8, 3K. So we reached that 3K mark with that, both buffs applied. And I don't even have Meteor yet, but if I did, I would show you that as well. Okay, last thing that the Dragon Knight can do to help you in their, let's see, it's the Earth and Heart, is Igneous Weapons. Igneous Weapons now has the buff for Major Brutality and Major Sorcery. So it can be ran in the group. Can you fire it up? What this does is two things. It gives us about a 35-second buff to our weapon damage, but it gives both buffs, Major Brutality, 20%, and Minor Brutality through the Earth and Heart passive. So we'll show you how big of a difference this is. So right now I have 4,600 weapon damage, and I'm fully buffed. Now there goes the minor, so I'm back down to 44, and when the major falls off, I'll be down to, I think, what, 3,800 or something like that, and that's on my dual wield bar with Flawless Dawnbreaker. Let's see it go down. And 3,800 weapon damage unbuffed. So why is that important? Well, the reason that's important is your Dragon Knight tank or another tank can basically provide 3 buffs to your party. When he gives me that buff, that frees up a lot of slots on my bar that I don't have to run it. Now, I still need my crit buff, Major Savagery, but other than that, that benefit is so powerful. So you're going to want to keep that buff up, or at least an Igneous Weapons buff, every 20 seconds. Because the duration of Igneous Weapons, I think, is about 39% when it's fully maxed, or 39 seconds. And the Mountain's Blessing, the 5% weapon damage, is about 20. So typically you're going to want to have 1 or 2 Earth and Heart abilities to keep that active. So your tank can do a lot for you in terms of DPS. Now, is there another croc down here?
Yeah, one more over here.
Oh, you see it. So let's show you the difference of how hard Jabs hits this croc fully buff. So he's going to debuff him, Pierced Armor, Engulfing, and buff me up with Igneous and give that Major and Minor. And you'll see the difference. Maybe catered up. So let me do a normal Jabs to this croc here. So yeah, it's debuff. Now go ahead and fire up Igneous. 5.9. Look at that damage with Pierced Armor. That's the difference. And individual skill, individual group play is one thing, but if you can coordinate with other group members and understand how they can optimize each other. Oftentimes I get questions, I want to be a DPS tank. Well, what he's doing for me does not show up in his stat sheet, but it shows up when the mobs die really, really, really fast. So that's what he's doing to help our party. And almost all those buffs apply to the entire party. Healers, everything. So they don't have to run entropy on their skills if they don't want to. All right, now we're going to go show you the rotation and what I use. Back to our little friends, Mr. Slime Crawl. Okay, so come over here, Psycho. Or just, yeah, I'm going to explain the build here. So, the buffs and the way I approach my buffs are by duration. And this is not the easiest build to play because we're running a lot of them. So Scorched Earth, if you look at the tooltip, it says 8 seconds, but actually it's about 14 because afterwards you're still taking flame damage for 6 seconds. We want to maintain that at all times. The thing about Scorched Earth is it's a ground effect. So the boss might move, it might do something, freaky or whatever. So you're not always going to be able to maintain this up at a time. But once you get used to the specific PvE encounter that you're facing, you'll understand when to use it. So typically I wait for the tank to get in position before I start this. Another debuff or dot that we're going to be using is Poison Injection. It lasts 10 seconds. It goes harder and harder the less health they have, under 50%. In my front bar, the number one thing we want to maintain is our 6-second Power of the Light. It gives us the minor debuff. Running Slash does a lot of damage, 9 seconds. And then Evil Hunter, you might as well have it to start a fight, and always keep it going if it's a bunch of mobs or they're an evil Daedra specifically. So it's a lot of things to do. Priority buffs, Power of the Light first. The minor fracture and the amount of damage it does is sensational. Number 2 is actually Scorched Earth. That does the most if the target is stationary. Number 3, Poison Injection. Number 4, Rending Slash. Very, very cheap, especially if you're going to run out of stamina. When those things are up and going, then you just maintain a jab weaves, doing jabs, light / heavy attacks in between. And then Evil Hunter to start and or finish. So usually what I do is I fire up Evil Hunter. My tank will fire up Igneous Weapons, so I don't have to worry about that. And then I'll do a Poison Injection with a heavy attack to start. And then I wait until the tank gets in position, or where I think it's going to go, Scorched Earth. As I close the distance, Power of the Light, Rending Slash, Light Attack, going into jabs, and then Priority Watching. So, it's kind of complex, so let me show you how it looks like on a full burn here. No ultimates, no warhorns or anything.
Okay.
So fully charged heavy attack, waiting for him to get in position. In stealth, if you can. Scorched Earth. Power of the Light, Light Attack. And here we go. Now, I forgot to use my Evil Hunter to start. Now I'm just looking. So Power of the Light's down. Reapplied that. Bar swap, Poison Injection. Scorched Earth back down. Switch. My Bleed's back down. Apply that. And Power of the Light went back down. Apply that. And we're just going back and forth doing priorities. So Power of the Light's just about to go down. Do it. And so on and so forth. So let's reset them. So it's really important that you have a good buff tracker for this, and you position your eyes watching the buff tracker, whether it's right to the left of you or the boss or wherever you put it. You're going to make sure that happens. If this is too complicated for you, all you need to do is just do Power of the Light, Rending Slash if it's way too complex. And some people probably will find that a lot easier. So let's go show you just kind of how easy that is. You definitely do want to start in stealth, heavy attack, Poison Injection, Scorched Earth, and then if you just want to go into simple easy mode, do so. So let me get in stealth, fire up the buff, and ready. So rip it, Scorched Earth, Power of the Light, Rending Slash, and now just keep those 2 buffs up. The Power of the Light falls off, got 3 seconds left on my Rending, and apply. And see, this is much easier to maintain and do. So Power of the Light's coming off. Rending's down. Gonna use a potion because I'm below 50%. Power of the Light back up. And right there, that was no ultimate, very simple, and that was around, 21,000 single target DPS. Now, you're going to get, obviously, a lot more if combat prayers are going, all sorts of other stuff, but it's pretty easy. Realize that you will get a lot more damage with Poison Injection and Scorched Earth, but it requires a lot of buff tracking, and it requires a lot of know-how and when to bar swap, how to bar swap quickly. So, for instance, a trick you can use to bar swap quickly is if you have a Scorched Earth right here, when you click it down, you notice you have to sit there. It's like a 5-minute duration. Just click it, and then boom, bar swap. You see how my guy basically just put his hands like away? That's how you increase your DPS significantly with Scorched Earth. Do it, and then when you click your left mouse down or whatever it is on console, immediately bar swap. Boom. So you just saved a second there instead of, let's just count that. 1,000, almost 2 seconds, right? 1. Those are tricks that can save you a lot of time, thus increasing your damage, though it's not easy. Okay, so that's how I play it. Obviously, you want to use Shooting Star at the start, and that would give you an Empower with a fully charged heavy attack, which would be nice. Poison Injection, Scorched Earth, go into buff mode. AoE situations, you're going to maintain Evil Hunter. You're going to place down Scorched Earth, great single target, and AoE in the area that you're going to go in, and you're going to go spam NATO. Spam NATO. If you're having trouble, you can just switch a couple abilities around and use Restoring Focus and Resolving Vigor for self-heals, and you'll have really good success. So here's the DPS Parse in live action when you have all my animation canceling and fully buffed. This is where I pull 27,000 on the good old Bloodspawn single target. Now this with Warhorn and everything else. But I'm just maintaining my buffs the best I can. So I'm looking, seeing what's up, what's down, doing a lot of bar swapping, putting up injection Scorched Earth. You can see it, I do it in a split second. That takes a lot of practice to do that. So keep working at it, but it does not come natural. Also maintaining those buffs, whether you're looking at visual cues on the ground for Scorched Earth, or you're looking up at my buff tracker in the top above the Bloodspawn. Just maintain those dots. Now we don't have a specific execute, but Poison Injection is going to do the job for us because it's going to start ticking really, really hard under 50%. You can already see it's in about the 10k mark, 9.1 damage per second. I got another Dawnbreaker up, boom, it's over. To discuss is champion points, and for this character it's a PvE build, so keep that in mind. And you have two sources of ways to get resources, right? You have the reduced cost, 82. The thing about reduced cost is it doesn't go to 25%. It goes to, I think, 16, maybe wrong. So at around 80 points, you're really high up into the diminishing returns area. So I don't like to go 100 into here. I like to keep a nice, decent split between Warlord and Mooncalf. If I'm a stamina-specific race like a Redguard or a Khajiit Nightblade or something like that, that gets a benefit from stamina recovery, I put more points into that. That's just how I do it. When you PvP, I do a lot of points into tumbling, but this is for PvE, so I don't have to worry about it. Okay, I hope you guys saw my champion point video overall. This looks extremely weird compared to last patch, but it works better than the previous version. So Mighty, I only have 15 points in here. That's a bit bizarre for most people, but you got to realize that Thaumaturge, or damage over time effects, that includes biting jabs. So biting jabs, our main stamina ability, is double dipping in effectiveness, Thaumaturge and Mighty. Also, almost every other ability we do, Scorched Earth, guess what? Damage over time. Poison Injection, damage over time. So on and so forth. So Asari made this champion point layout for stamina. At first, I thought it was crazy, and until I tried and used it, and it's fantastic. It looks like piercing has gotten a change, so you're going to get more physical penetration as well. Increased critical strikes, but I'm more focused on weapon power, so I don't go too heavy into that. I don't have any of the melee weapons, and then I have some in Elemental Expert, which probably seems odd, but remember that magic damage is our burning light. So this is actually very, very beneficial for that. Moving over here, I think a decent split between Hardy and Elemental Defender, keeping it simple. This isn't PvP, but you know it's pretty effective. And then some in quick recovery. The biggest thing to know is that you want to pump up Thaumaturge more so than Mighty, and then do a nice, decent split between Precise Strikes and Piercing. I know it looks bizarre. I didn't come up with the math, but someone who's a lot smarter than me did, and boy, the jabs in all my DPS skyrocketed with using this layout. Like I said, I didn't create it, Asari did, and it's very, very effective. Okay, so I'm on an Imperial, and I get a lot of questions on, hey, Deltia, you know, what race should you be and why, and all sorts of things. And I've had a few I played basically everything but a Bosmer in this game. Every single race to endgame, but a Bosmer. So the feedback I have on that is play what you like. The nice thing about Imperial is it has just a massive heap of stats, 12% magic. So what this means is we don't have to put any points into health on our glyphs, on our attributes, really nothing, and still have a decent amount of health. Excuse me. You have 10% stamina, the same that the Redguard gets, but the Redguard doesn't have 12% health to go with it. It's just a heap of stats. And what I like about the Imperial, especially with the Stamplar, is that the healing on a Templar is not that good. It's gotten a lot better with major mending, but you'd be surprised at how often this has saved my life. doing jabs will proc this as well. Same with your light attack weaving or medium weaving with your dual wield. So those things make Imperial very, very good for my opinion. If you're wanting to do more PvP, I'd go with an Orc. I like the speed and the melee damage with it. Redguard for very, very powerful sustain. Bosmer I haven't played with, don't know. Khajiit has high crit, so you could go with that in the Night Mother's Gaze and kind of build something more off of that. So invariably I'm going to get a question. Delta, can I play this build with a Breton? Sure. You can play this build with a Nord, with anything. Play what you want. You don't have to re-roll to be successful in this game with characters. There's people that are way better than me at Stamplars that probably are playing as a high elf. I would much rather have people spend time investing in skills, theory crafting, testing, and working hard at getting better than re-rolling a better race. Because at the end of the day, skill trumps race all day. Now, you have to have some gear optimal, you have to have your spec optimal, but skill will beat out just working hard at getting better, learning every single thing about your class, all the passives, how to light weave, prioritizing targets, time on target, when to burst down something, when to drop alts, all these things are more powerful than 5% more stamina. So, in my opinion, if I were you, I would choose an Imperial or a Redguard or an Orc. Those are the races that I like. That's the build. It rocks and jocks, leaks and locks. That's a new thing I'm saying. But I like the Stamplar. It is competing with some of the other Magic builds. This is the Magic patch, but you can still play what you want and still have fun. I want to work on the Spectre and the Magic DK next. I need some bow-specific gear, so I'm waiting to get that. But I had enough to do the Stamplar, which I love to this day. Play what you want. Play the race you want. You can make it work. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please subscribe, follow, and share this video if you like this content and want more. Thank you.